Liner Note Subject 44. This channel is sponsored by you. Like, comment, and subscribe for content you'd like to see next. Changes. Some like it, some don't. Regardless of where you are in that sentiment, we all have to deal with changes. In this video, we're going to talk about the changes in this channel and how you have been and can be part of it. First of all, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Reaching 1,000 subscribers is really something very exciting to me and my family. And this is not going to be possible without you and the watch community. You guys are awesome. And one thing I learned about this community is that you and your watches truly deserve more attention. Take for example Kolby Martineau, who is now a proud owner of the Accutron Spaceview 2020. He believes, and like many of us do, that this is a monumental step in watchmaking. Here's what he has to say about his timepiece. Special thanks to Kolby Martineau for sending these clips. You can check him out at It's Kolbs in Instagram. He bought this beautiful timepiece at Royal Jewelers in Andover, Massachusetts. They also have an Instagram at Royal Jewelers Ma. Check them out as well in Instagram. The presentation box is nicely wrapped inside a matted box. The glorious wooden presentation case is nicely textured with a fine wood grain finish. The Accutron branding is also nicely engraved with a touch of gold. Of course, it comes with the usual warranty certificates and promotional material. Accutron is very self-aware here, with their mention of the watch being a conversation piece, much like its predecessor, the original Spaceview. Fun fact, Accutron means accuracy through electronics. Upon opening the box, Kolby here is treated to some very supple velvet inner linings under a wood grain platform. This highlights the watch magnificently. Notice how initially the watch here is frozen in its unused state, but after just a few turns from Kolby, the two electrostatic generators started to spring back to life. On closer examination, the two generators seem to tick every now and then, while the induction motor, once it receives electricity, continues to move in a graceful motion. This also translates to a buttery smooth sweeping hand. The sapphire crystal also contributes to your enjoyment as it bends light around the side. One thing to also appreciate is the floating transparent chapter ring that lends to the three-dimensional build of this piece. All these moving parts and dimensional design provides excitement and satisfaction similar to many skeletonized and even tourbillon-encrusted watches. We're all warming up to the conventional case that Accutron used here. Straight lugs, the coin-edged crown reminds us of vintage watches that houses this technological marvel. When viewed from the side, you can also see the horizontal brushing that emphasizes the height of the watch. This is also tastefully contrasted with the polished bezel and caseback sides. This piece is secured with a genuine leather band utilizing a butterfly clasp. It uses a firm dual-press button mechanism that's elegantly decorated with the Accutron branding. The caseback showcases the Accutron badge milled out over a sandblasted plate. Prominent too is the engraving of electrostatic on the stepped circular finished ring. There are some crisp slats all around this medallion that references the turbines of the Spaceview. Going back to the dial, we can get lost with the finer mechanical details such as the nicely polished bridges and the signature green metal frames of the Spaceview. This piece is also generously loomed at the hands and hour markers. Over the transparent ring, the looms levitate over the dial. Very attractive, even in the dark. Wrapped around Kolby's 6.75-inch wrist, The Spaceview 2020 is just at home with its 43.5mm case diameter. Most of this diameter is occupied by that open work dial, due in part to the polished thin bezel that reflects your skin. You and onlookers will equally find that your attention is surely drawn to the center of the dial. Kolby was in a conversation with his AD and found out that there's only 6 of these available and 5 were already spoken for. Seeing that this is a piece of watchmaking history and there is a bustling interest in retro-inspired timepieces, he knew that this is a watch worth owning. He was hugely satisfied upon seeing it in person, and it truly delivered on the promise of the Spaceview being a conversation piece after getting tons of compliments about it. Admittedly, the price is not for everyone, but the joy it brought Kolby is definitely priceless. This is a true marriage of artful reinterpretation of a modern classic watch with innovative technological advancements. Thank you so much, Kolby. We'd love to feature you and your watches. So here's what we're going to do. Just send us an email at designatelierviewer@gmail.com. You can upload your videos at your preferred file sharing website, say for example WeTransfer, and then send us the link. Or you can send us images of you and your watches. In the email, please describe the following. Like, describe something about you, or what you do, or where you're from. You don't have to say your actual name, so you don't even have to show yourself. It's all up to you. You can describe your motivation for buying the watch or why you entered in watch collecting in the first place. There are some things to keep in mind. This is a wholesome channel, so we'd like to encourage everyone to keep your language and your subject matter clean and appropriate for the theme. One watch per email. We're going to sort out all of the emails, we're going to review it, and the ones that we can work with, we're going to feature in the channel. We're going to review each and every email. You can send as many emails as possible. It's all up to you. Now, depending on the number of submissions, we're going to add them into every end credit of our videos, or we can even make a whole video featuring your watch. Now, another thing we'd like to do is to engage more with the watch community, and to do that, we're going to answer some of your questions that you've been posting in the comment section of our videos. Take for example James Paulson, who's a regular viewer of the channel. He asks, do you think the Yachty would benefit with a plain steel second hand or plain white second hand and the Yacht Master written in white, similar to the Islander? Well, at a designer's perspective, I prefer that there's uniformity in my watches, and having all of the text in white just makes sense. Now, if you're going to make the text all white and the other hands are also white to aid in the legibility, I would also normally prefer a white second hand. We can do that with the Yacht Master. But here's the thing, for the Yacht Master's sake, maybe the text can be done in all white. We've seen how Rolex has done that with some of the timepieces that they had, with the change from gilt text to white text for the sake of legibility and uniformity. But for the Yacht Master, the second hand has become somewhat iconic and identifies itself with the watch. So changing the second hand color might actually break the identity of the Yacht Master. So probably that's something that Rolex won't do, or the consumer or you, the buyer or fans, might not want to see. Fernando Linton asks, what are you sipping? Well, we have an espresso machine, and I just love coffee and the many different tastes that it has. It's kind of like watch collecting also. Once you dive into that rabbit hole, you'll never go out. I've not been an avid fan of coffee for years. I've only been in this for like 2 years. But I'm surely missing out. with not drinking coffee all my life. But I'm trying to make up for it, and so far it's been nice. I love a ristretto and I drink one every time I make a video. Mr. B comments, if I want to see pics, I'll do Google search. Waste of time. Mr. B, I'm sorry that we wasted your time, but if we have the timepiece here on our hand, we're going to thoroughly review it the best way that we know. We're going to try and improve, and we always try to improve every time that we make our videos, but for videos that are not available, we'll have to make do with online clips and images. But the thing that we do is that we bring additional things into the table. We're not settling for our own opinions and what the brands are saying or telling us about the watch. We want to incorporate some of the watch pundits and magazines and websites that are experts in these fields and these watch brands to add a little more value to the video and to your entertainment. But that also highlights an underlying principle about a perception that you need to have something in front of you, or you have had a hands-on review of the watch to make a truly compelling examination of the product or item. I believe that you don't have to have that to make a constructive opinion about it. You don't have to be in front of the Mona Lisa to understand what makes the Mona Lisa a truly beautiful piece of art. Now, with watch design, and basically with any design altogether, we designers look at it at a visual perspective and try to dissect and analyze it in every sort of way that we know. We could examine the lines, the proportions, the color, the different design aspects, or even the history that goes with it to see and to truly appreciate what the item or the design is all about. And that's something that we want to also bring to you and share in every video that we make. Of course, there's no substitute for actually holding the item and actually reviewing it, how it works, and as much as possible, we're also going to try and do that. James G writes, what kind of bracelet did you put on that Seiko watch? Well, this is my Paddy scallop. They call it a scallop because of the ridges. This is my Paddy scallop, and I modded it with a custom bracelet. Well, this is not really truly custom. I bought this from AliExpress. It's an aftermarket Royal Oak bracelet. Now, there are other Royal Oak bracelets out there, but this one has the integrated lugs or integrated links removed, and that makes it possible for me to just shave off some of the sides of the bracelet, because this is actually a 23mm bracelet. I shaved off like 1mm of it for it to fit in this watch. And of course, it has those grooves or those holes left over by the links that are not present, but it's really not that visible so much whenever you have it on this recessed lug holes from the Seiko Paddy tuner. Mainspring Watches asks, hey buddy, sick video, thank you. Just wanted to ask a question, what editing software do you use to get the effects, etc, etc? Well, for one, I use an Apple iPhone 8 to record all my videos. So far, we don't have the budget to buy a full-blown vlogging camera. We would love that, but maybe in the future we're going to do that. And second, I use CodeCam for my iPhone to ensure that I can manually tweak the exposure, the shutter speed, the frame rate. And then I use some lenses on the iPhone to make sure that I get the right shot for the right scene. And after I've shot my clips, I upload that to my trusty iPad. Now on my iPad, I have a few software. I have LumaFusion and Procreate. With Procreate, I would normally use my Apple Pencil and do my infographics in Procreate. After that, I transfer it to LumaFusion, maybe through PNG or even the time-lapse video. And in LumaFusion, that's where I truly make some corrections and editing. It's not free, the LumaFusion, but it's really one of the best investments that you can have when it comes to editing your video on your iPad. Now I keep everything in my iPad to make it as simple as possible with all of the resources available at the same time. At the end of our videos, we're going to feature you and your watches and answer some of these comments that you've been asking. And again, if we get enough of these, we'll make a whole video out of them. Finally, I'd like to personally thank some of the YouTubers that have been personally helping me out in the past few months to grow this channel. Random Rob, Celine Driver, Bobby Legs, The Watch Lounge, Amin Reviews, Joe Cheng, Long Island Watches, and many others in the watch community. If I failed to mention you, I'll try to make it up in the next video. The blinds, there we go. Okay. But really, this channel is about design and what makes design interesting and enjoyable, and that trickles down to watch collecting in general, because these watches, antiquated items that really don't do much more than what our phones can do now, is interesting and beautiful and enjoyable because there's some sort of design that really touches your heart, and we feel that we can elaborate on that, we can show that and share that to each and every one. Sometimes it's hard to explain, and that's why our channel is here. We're trying to show what makes these designs interesting and beautiful in you and other people's eyes. This channel is born out of a change in my schedule and the time that we have. Many of us gained so much time because of our current situation, and with the use of that time and that opportunity, I was able to finally get over the hump or that fear of making my own channel. In fact, I mean, I'm still in fear of showing my face, but I have to do it. But these changes are something that we should all welcome. Make the most of it. But more importantly, it's really about you, the viewer. We are motivated by your enthusiasm and your continued support for the channel. And the more that you support it, the better our videos become and the more engaging our content will be. Thank you so much.